It's Teneca. Welcome back to another Conscious Rant.
I never did mind the little things. Okay, so this is another one of those times where I recorded a whole lot and it didn't even get caught on here. I just need a break for myself now, okay? I just need a break. I held this button and I thought I was, but everything happens for a reason, you know what I mean? So like I can't even get mad whenever that happens. It's like whatever I wanted to talk about. That's what was really in my heart, and the whole point was really for me to release it. And I've done that, and there's so much more that I talk about that is not always in the camera because I'm always talking to myself. Not like to this degree, but I do, and I feel like that's healthy. I mean, some of us do it in our heads. When you're writing, the primary person reading your journal or your diary is you. So you are kind of talking to yourself. You are ministering to yourself. Isn't it beautiful how that happens? So you're vulnerable with yourself, so you let yourself write it down, and then you come back and you look over and you reread what you've written. I don't know if you do that, but that's what I do, or that's what I was doing. So I was doing that in my Midori. I got turned on to the Midori, and I don't know how I'm going to be able to release that now. It's the greatest traveler's notebook. I just love it. Anyway, I read over it, and then I look at my penmanship, and then I look at any of the little doodles that I made, and sometimes I see teardrops on the page, and like you review it. Okay, I need to take a break for myself. Okay, just for a second. Anyway, so I'm having a review of my feelings on paper, and it's a very intimate process, and so that's why, because I'm like, as I'm looking at everything on the page, obviously, I don't necessarily ruminate. I won't say that, but I acknowledge my feelings. I acknowledge myself. Like I go back to what I was feeling that day. And then I ask myself, how are you feeling now? Is the situation still the same? Do you have any takeaways now versus then? Like if you journal or you have a diary, that's an investment of your emotions and your consideration for yourself. People can't tell. People who do that, don't you let nobody tell you that you don't love yourself. They don't know the first thing about it. They don't. The people who think that is silly, you know what I'm saying? I have some people trying to front off like I'm crazy or like I'm slow. I had a supervisor or a manager. Yeah, like people like think you're that, and I was like, people are not really living, like truly living in this reality. Some of the things that people try and that they say, and it's like when you have much, you don't necessarily. It's like the tier that you might think someone should be performing at or vibing at, they can't even see the bottom of the stage of that level for where they are right now. This is what they're choosing for themselves, and I don't really have any judgment for people. Like I said, we're on our own path, but for the carnage that is created and the people who, because of those actions, they are, this is still a part of their cycle, because we're all choosing. Like what you tolerate, it can be just as bad as what's being allowed to happen to you. Like the boundary for me isn't there so that I can one up someone or smack them in the face. It's you are with me and we are flowing together. Or when you show me that that's not what it is, I can confidently and very comfortably release a connection like that. Like, damn, like I thought we were like sisters. Or like, damn, like I actually was in love with you and I didn't know that it was like that. But since then that it is, or dang, I gave this job my all. Like I genuinely did. Like I didn't mess with nobody. I was on time until I wasn't, and even when I wasn't, like I didn't have a lot of people really outperforming me. So it's like, dang, I was like, I guess we're parting ways. And then I'd be like, but since then that we are, Dabudore, bitch. Dabudore, welcome. Okay. Welcome. For real. Like there's several, I think, that I'm attracting. Like when you cycle through people, like when you're in a circle of friends, or it can happen at church if you have a church family, and you've gone through I love like Wednesday Bible studies and prayer meetings, and that going through the Bible from the front to the back, and by the end of the year, then you've completed it all. Anyway, I was just saying that okay, I'm gonna come back to this. Anyway, and you finished it all, and that's brought you so much closer to the other brothers and sisters, the elders and the children in the church. That part of a fellowship I miss. Like, see, I was talking about the who's and the victory in the situation and the peace that, I've given to myself that I wish for others. And I've always had that. People think that I detach so easily, and they be like, man, it's like you didn't even care. And I'm like, of course I care. Remember everything that I did whenever I was there? As your friend, as your sister, as your cousin, as your co-worker, as your confidant, as your lover. Remember everything? Like, because I haven't forgotten. And not that I was keeping tally, like, to throw up in anybody's face. But when you know how you show up in a situation, I mean, I have been, like, when I say in love, I'm putting the toothpaste on your toothbrush. So when you're ready to come in the bathroom, like, I'm setting you. I am setting you. I'm listening to you. I mean, when I say listening, there are so many people that I talk to. I know so many of their scars, the ways that I know it, and how it's gifted to me in the conversations. Like, all those walls, and the fact that I see the wall is the very first thing that helps me to see beyond that wall. It's like, damn, that's a wall. Why is it there? It's like, oh, for you to be showing up like this had to have happened. And I can put it together pretty fast. And it's like, I don't even try to do that. I don't even have to try. That comes to me. But whenever I was going through and I felt completely blinded by what was going on, I could not wrap my brain around what was happening. I asked God, I was like, I asked you to just protect me. Just protect my heart, protect my love. Don't let whatever this is change my perspective of myself. Unless I'm a part of the problem, don't let it change how I see the person in front of me, because I know that they must just be going through something. They don't know what they're doing. Like, since I can't see it right, I ask that you just make my eyes your eyes, God. Make my heart your heart, God. Make my thoughts your thoughts. Purify me. And that doesn't mean to hush my shadow side. That means to embrace that also, but like in fairness. Like, you don't just let yourself pop off on people that are under the influence. They're under the influence of lack. They're under the influence of envy. They're under the influence of greed. They're under the influence. So it's like, if you know that and you're consciously, like, you really are an active, like, not how could you let yourself not tolerate their BS, but it's like, you have to consider that we're sowing karma both ways. You have to treat people right, man. You just can't. And I'm not here like talking like nobody's mama, because I'm talking to myself, okay? This would be written down, like, I'm grateful that I have that. I really wanted to understand how and why we do what we do as human beings. Have you ever seen one of those cases where a child has been abused? A child could, I'm not going to get into any of the specifics, because this is just an example. It's for edutainment purposes only. I got nothing but love, man. But anyway, a child is being abused, and they're taken from their families, and they're put into foster care, right? Into a foster family. And as soon as that child comes of age, right, the parents lost you forever because of what they did, whatever it was that they did. As soon as that child is legally able to walk out that house, the foster house, and do as they please, they beeline right to that parent. The one that put all those burns on their arms, the one that cut their hair, the parents that wouldn't feed them, the parents that wouldn't clothe them, the parents that didn't have time to sit their asses down with their children, whether they suffer from addiction or codependent relationships. They run to those parents. The parents that chose to love other children over them, or to love everything over them. Like, those children beeline to us because, like, that's the depths of their love, and that's the connection. They can't make sense of that shit. How are we conditioned to love as we love and to feel as we feel? I wanted to understand that. I wanted to understand how people could treat their children like that. How can you mistreat anyone? As I remember my perspective in the workplace when I was the youngest always in the office. My father was the first person that told me that the women that were older than me, and oftentimes significantly older than me, he said, they will always envy you. They will always envy your youth. They will envy your beauty. They will envy your intellect. They will envy you. That was my first line of defense. And I still did not believe my daddy for a long time. I was just like, not that I didn't think that I'm attractive. I did not think low of myself. By the time I started to notice, I'm just living. So it's not even about what I think about myself. When you're going like in your 20s or whatever, we're kind of still like coming up, for me, was a little bit disordered. And so I don't mean to cut the conversation short, but I'm just catching myself. It is like 1:06. And I'm sitting out in the car talking to myself. I would say talking to you, but I'm going to tell you something. Before I started uploading the videos to YouTube and TikTok, I was recording the videos just for myself on my phone. I didn't have the space. So I was like, that's kind of where it started. But Because again, I just find it so therapeutic. It is. I mean, I have thousands of those voice note things where I'm talking to myself and I'm processing how I'm feeling, and I recommend I recommend that for us, because there are things that you won't tell. You won't tell your friend. You won't tell your mother. You won't tell your siblings. You won't tell your spouse some things. The things that are closest to you, that are just like, nobody knows about this, or no one knows how I truly feel about this. It's so important to give yourself the eye contact, to make the eye contact with yourself, to listen to your voice, to listen when your pitch rises. Not so you can get train yourself to be a better deceiver or a liar, but I have caught myself trying to give myself the poker. Like, are you trying to lie? What are you trying to lie for? You know why you said that? Like, I do check myself. So, and I wish the same for others, but yeah, there's a reason for it, and I choose to share it with people on this platform. Like some people would write a book. I'm not trying to monetize anything. Because to me, healing should be free, like medicine should be free. And I get the people that create the medicine and the antidote. And some people are so wickedly intelligent that they create the sickness for the antidote. I'm probably going to get banned for saying that. But I was actually talking about in the relationships that I be talking about. I mean, you pick up any one of the shoes that's laying around if you just want to stick your foot in it. But I'm talking about how we are in relationships, and those people who are wickedly clever in the relationships, who like to create the problem and then try to be a part of this. So have you ever been on a date, right? And the date was going so good and you were appreciating the vibe and the conversation that you were having, and you just didn't want the evening to end, but you knew that you want to turn in at a decent hour. But the conversation's so good. The vibe is so good. It's so healing. I've been giving that to myself. And it's like that sometimes prevents me from, I won't say making connections with people. I'm going to say allowing connections with people, because it's a space that's being curated and nurtured and definitely better protected today than it has been in the past. And like I would, I've had my share of heartbreaks in relationships, but I'm going to tell you, it is far more heartbreaking. Like, as a woman, when I consider sisterhood and just friendship between me and some of these other women, I find it so disturbing that, like, as soon, like, how intolerant we are as women with each other, and how we would tolerate the fucking unthinkable. Like, he did what? The maintenance man through the back door? What? He did with your family? Okay, what? The money. He was acting like y'all together so you get money. What? And we were so forgiving, and that's why I was like, you can't judge nobody for forgiving somebody, right? But how easily we just discard each other as friends. How easily we, I can't say we, the women who this applies to, how easily they can intentionally cause a downfall or a stumble in another woman over the pettiest shit, because so-and-so don't like so-and-so. It's just like, but in relationships where you're in a much more vulnerable place, because this is someone that you are sleeping. People underestimate that level of trust for you to be able to close your eyes and lie down next to someone. That's what you're giving. And when that person betrays you, that is such an emotional trauma on your psyche, and on your heart, and just on your emotional person. And we overcome those things, and we find our way to forgiveness, and are the version of it that we know. Because for some people, forgiving just means to not talk about it, and that's so dangerous. That's so dangerous. But I can understand. I can see it from all sides. I understand how people internalize things, and they compartmentalize internally. You didn't even know that was in there. That this has caused a seed to be planted in you. Whenever this topic is mentioned, whenever you're in this type of situation, then this is the fruit that seed bears, and you don't even know that's what's at the core of your actions. But when you're talking to someone who has carefully studied the actions and the behaviors of others, including myself, I'm a part of it too. It's like, I can completely redefine. You don't know who you fit, okay? But not even to be that woman, because I'm not the only person who thinks at that frequency, who processes things like that. It's just like but that's how I know. Like this one gentleman, whenever I was in high school, because for me it didn't just start since I've been in my 40s. I'm gonna tell you how far back I've been observing this behavior, and like it's like I'm hurt and my feelings are hurt, but like I'm not really in a state of shock because I'm like an emotional scientist, and I'm just like, why would you do that? Why did he say that? This boy that came over to my and met my dad, met my mother and them, was really trying to like play court me, and had his father to come over to meet my dad and talk to my dad, and asked my dad if he could take me, no, if I could come over to his house and basically have a play date to talk to him in his house. And he talked about his girlfriend, but rest her soul, she had passed away, sometime before he ever met me. We were just kids in school, and we had a perfectly good evening. He gave me a rose, sent me home, didn't try to, take advantage of me or anything like that. And the very next day, he went around telling people that I did something with him, and I didn't do anything with him. It was a completely innocent date. There was no hanky-panky. We talked about his girlfriend that had passed away, and he showed me a box that had letters from her, and I was helping him process that. And so I wasn't even thinking about him like a boyfriend, because we were just friends. And this is the same guy that we had gone back to school the very next day. And people were just like giving me the look like, girl, like, mm-mm. And I was like, people that ordinarily would greet me with love in their eyes and hi, and not even that I was like trying to show up to get that, but I mean, you attract what you are. I'm going to say that. And so, someone finally pulled me to the side. It was an upperclassman. This is in high school. And she was like, girl, that dude said that like y'all did something. And they knew that I was like going through experiencing a breakup with this other guy, like the only boyfriend that I had at that school ever. And, I was like, as soon as I heard that, I was like, I heard that there are boys that do stuff like that will lie and say that they did something with a girl and that she did all this on her back. I was like, I'm not one of those, and I didn't do that, and I wouldn't do that. And as soon as I saw him, and I was just like, today we would say it's on site, right? Yeah, and I was loud about it too. I was just like, you don't get to just ruin my reputation lying and saying I did some shit. I'm the one person that would never. I was like, oh my God. I was like, I could go and just tell my daddy kick your ass. I was like, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not, because I don't have anything to prove to these people up here. Like, I care what people think, but then I don't care what you think. You don't have my level of healing. And so when I was in my alone time by myself, when I was considering why would he do that, I was like, after telling me all that stuff, I knew immediately. I was like, yeah. I was like, I got too close too fast. I was like, and I wasn't even trying to. I didn't go over there. Well, will you pull the box out from under your bed and tell me about your girlfriend that just passed away? I didn't ask. I was like, that's what comes out when you're in the presence of somebody that has a genuine interest in you. Just as a friend, I'm showing you nothing but love. Nothing but love. I was like, I think that it's nice. You want my dad to meet you. Because he hadn't made any type of like an actual pass at me. He was like, hey, I just wanted to get to know you, and I wanted to see if it was okay. I want to ask my dad, can I come and take you out? Like, can you come over and visit? Like, I was like on a date. He's like, not necessarily a date. He was like, yeah, just for us to get to know each other. And I was like, okay. Like, I have plenty of females that I met that we were becoming friends the exact same way. Like, hey, what's up? You want to hang out? That was not uncommon. And so I didn't take it like a romantic thing. I was in love with somebody at the time, so I sure wasn't thinking like that about the person I was in love with had broken up. Now, just a little backstory. He had asked permission to take me home from school. I got the permission. We made one stop on the way home, which was the police station, where he had to pay some ticket, and I stayed out in the car, and I am not BSing, from about 3:30 until it had to be like 6 or 7 o'clock at night. I just stayed there because I was like, it's too far to walk, and I don't want to get out the car, and then he comes back. This is before the time of cell phones. We were just kids. Then that's where his father and he came to meet my parents and asked if I could come over for the so-called play date. I guess just to show in good faith, like, we're trustworthy people. And then the rumor came. Yeah. Weird shit, right? And then it was later disclosed. I want to say revealed, but it's not revealed. It's really disclosed because I didn't even let them finish telling me about the, I guess, high school fraternity, whatever that this boy was in, and the other battered, injured, abused young men that he associated with, that they turned to each other. They turned to each other for comfort in their little brotherhood. He didn't know that I knew about that. He didn't know that I knew that he had heard from someone who lied, someone who had said that I was that kind of girl, a person like family that just was that intended to smear my name. I was like, you ain't never gonna be able to embarrass me about something in my past, because I don't mistreat people. I don't shit on people. So I never looked at it. I was like, I'm mad because, you tried it. But like the humiliation that people intend, whenever they target someone, because you can't look at someone on the outside and really know who they are on the inside. You can't look at someone and tell where they've been. You don't know their capacity and their threshold for pain. So like and then you don't anyway.
Or love.
It's like you would kind of have to study it like we study like remember when you were learning how to play Mario Brothers and you had to learn how to kill King Koopa? Like that. you had to keep challenging, and you had to figure it out. Anyway, if you get what I'm saying. Okay, so I just caught the time again, and it's now been 24 minutes since the last time. You know what this is? I'm not even going to say it. Okay, I was just thinking I will not talk in class. I will not talk in class. I will not talk in class. I used to think there was something was wrong with me, but I know that there's not. At least I'm doing the work. I know that some people have other conversations that don't sound anything like what my conversations sound like that I have with myself. I feel like me and myself, we have a pretty close relationship, all of us in here, okay? This one man was trying to teach me the definition of what it means to be unfuckwittable. And I was just like, yes, sensei. Yes, sensei. I'll let you teach me your version of what I already know. Why do we expect so much of people that are older than us just because they're older than us? It just means that you're older than us. It doesn't mean that you're more mature than us, which I know that sounds crazy because there are people that are younger than me that I would be like, of course I know more than you, but not necessarily. If I don't know that child and I don't know where they've been, what they've experienced. That's why the foster mother of my sister, she doesn't know that she's already lost this when it comes to me and my sister. Because I know why. I know why. And I know what comes at the end of it. That she lacked the foresight, and maybe she had more confidence in herself that she thinks she's going to be able to make this appear right. Anyway. Okay. At 1:26. Thank you so much for joining me on this conscious rant. This is not exactly what I intended to talk about. I would say, honestly, you guys, I've had the longest day that I've had in a very long time. It was a lot busier than I'm used to. And I made it back to my parking space later than usual. And I won't say that I'm delulu, because I don't think I'm delulu by any stretch. But it's definitely time for me to walk in the house. I should not be out here. Anyway, thank you for joining me. Please like and share. You don't have to share. You really don't have to like. Just your view matters. I would appreciate it if you would like it, okay? Because, who doesn't want their stuff to be liked? No, but even if you don't, just the fact that you viewed. Okay. Bye.
Bye. Bye.